I'm Tony Ortega. I'm a visual artist and a professor at Regis University. I'm a Chicano artist. I'm originally from Pecos, New Mexico, but I grew up here on the Northside, where I currently live and have a studio. I would call my work expressionistic. The way I use color, the way I draw or make marks, the way I think is from an emotional point of view. Subject-wise, my work is about identity, traditions, culture. I'm of Mexican descent. I grew up in a bilingual household. My grandmother and my mother's first language were Spanish, so they would speak to me in Spanish and I would answer back in English. So I learned English from Spanish speakers. So these are all the, so this is similar to that one, just hand colored a little bit different. Oh yeah. I just printed a variety of papers. Obviously one's in a tan and one's in a white. This is, as a kid growing up just watching Speedy Gonzales and Sylvester and the whole idea of the border, but back then they were looking for cheese and he was trying to catch them to eat, but then the whole idea of border and disputes and like, Uncle Sam, but asking you to go to Day of the Dead, pay respect to your ancestors. Super hombre. So that we're here, this is the Pyramid of the Sun right here. And then this is the La Calle de los Muertos, I think it's called. My artwork is about what I observe, what I see, what I feel, what I remember. I see how cultures are separated, but also how they overlap, juxtapose, intertwine each other. And I think I show that a lot in my hybrid images, a lot of my printmaking. Hybridity comes from the word hybridity, meaning to blend two different things together to make one. You can think of like hybrid cars, right? Using gas and battery going back and forth. That's the way I sort of see my artwork. My grandmother was a seamstress. She also did embroidery and crochet and alterations is what she did professionally. And I remember early times when I was 4, 5, 6 years old, literally playing underneath the sewing machine of my grandmother as she was doing odd and end jobs, making quilts, making clothes for my cousins. So I grew up with materials and patterns and colors that my grandmother was working with as she was tailoring and making these things. She'd be crocheting and telling me stories about growing up in New Mexico, sharing Southwest Chicano stories that she knew and remembered. So my early memories of being an artist or being related to artists through my grandmother. I've been familiar with Redline for many years. I've gone to their exhibits and I was a mentor artist from 2018 to 2020. So I had a studio space there and got to meet other artists and other art students. I taught some workshops there. I got to meet a whole other side of the art community I didn't know or wasn't familiar with. For the exhibit at MCA, I'll have 3 pieces that'll be in the show. The main piece, or the large piece, is called Nuestra Señora de la Malinche. And it's a large wood block printed on papel amate or Mexican bark paper. It's a play off of the title of Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe. It's Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is a Catholic saint. It's the Virgin Mary. She made an appearance back during the time of the Aztecs. And that image has become important in Mexican culture. She represents obviously Catholicism. But Malinche is another female character from colonial times. She was the Cortez's interpreter, and she was Cortez's mistress. And she also bore Cortez a couple of children who were what we call the first mestizos, the first people that were a mix of indigenous DNA with European Spanish DNA. So what I ended up doing is creating an image where I've combined an Aztec goddess. And then in the main image, instead of Our Lady of Guadalupe, I took an Adelita. And Adelita were women soldiers, solderas, during the Mexican Revolution. And they fought alongside their boyfriends, their husbands, their sons, etc. during the revolution, which was from 1910 to about 1917 or so. So I'm blending all these time periods of women, the Aztec goddess, Our Lady of Guadalupe, the Adelita. It's paying homage to women in Mexican and Chicano life.